But I thought real quick I'd tell you who we are, what we do, the difference that we're able to make, and then and how you guys could connect if you were so inclined. So I'm not going to speak to the slides. These are it's just a bunch of slides from projects that we've done. But Homes of Living Hope, we're a nonprofit here in Louisville. We're volunteer run, all volunteer run. We have a few contract type services that are provided for us, but everything is donated to us. All the people, all the work is donated to us. And what we do is we help groups convert shipping containers into usable facilities. And you know, it's interesting. I looked on you guys is on the Rotary's website, and I like the service above self. And really that's what Homes of Living Hope does, is that we try to create events for people to serve. Our mission statement is connecting communities through service. So a lot the same kind of thing. And I thought as I was coming over here, you know, I recognize some of you have lived around here a long time, and but you know, I thought all of you, when you came in here, you probably didn't know each other. There was maybe somebody that invited you, or you knew one or two people, but you were drawn here because there was an opportunity. You felt the desire to give something back, to do something to make a difference, to use your time, talent, and treasure to help other people. And you were able to come here and connect with other like-minded people. And from there, I'm sure that there's friendships, there's business acquaintances, things that have grown from this. Well, that's the concept of Homes of Living Hope, is that we try to create these events where people can come and serve. And it's pure service. They're serving people that they're never going to get to hear a thank you from for the most part. It's just that, you know, so much of what we do goes to the third world, and people think we're focused on Africa, we're focused on Mexico, whatever it happens to be. But the reality is we're focused right here. We're right here in this community, and right here in the region, right here in the United States. These communities here matter to me a lot. I grew up around here. Great people like you, but the fiber of our community is, and really, in my belief, here in the United States, is our ability to do something for others. That's kind of what has separated us. So that's what Homes of Living Hope is about. But what do we do? We help groups take a shipping container. Now, you've seen pictures up here. That one didn't turn out. It tipped over there, but yeah. But you know, you see these shipping containers everywhere. They're basically, a standard shipping container is 40 feet long, it's 8 feet wide, and it's 8 feet high. It's 320 square feet. And but it's the perfect building block for things that you want to do. It's called intermodal shipping. It can be shipped anywhere in the world. I can pick up the phone and I can find a way to get this to every corner of the world. There's trucks, standard trains, standard ships. I mean, everything. If you know, if you're willing to do it, they can get it there. And they're structurally sound, so that when we bring volunteers together, we're not having to have a high level of expertise. We're asking people to be able to contribute at the level that they can contribute. And so that's what we do, is we come in and do it. Now, who do we do it for? Well, again, I would tell you we're more focused here in the U.S., and so what we do it for is we do it for community groups. We do it for schools. A lot of public high schools have adopted this and done these projects. Churches, it's a natural for a church to sponsor a project like this. Nonprofits just here in the area. Now, you talked a little bit about projects that we've done, and so I say community groups. Homes of Living Hope, we were building projects around the U.S. or helping groups build them, and we decided we'd never built one in Louisville, which is where we're from. So we got a shipping container donated to us. We put it down here where the old lumber yard is on 42. I don't know if any of you saw, we hung a big banner on the side of it that said future home of a medical clinic, and then we had people drop by. People started dropping by, people we never even met. People wandered in and they would come and work. We had contractors come and bring people. We got donations. Donations of time and donations of people of goods to ship. And when we were done, we completed a medical clinic, a two-suite medical clinic with a pharmacy in it that we then shipped to Nairobi, to the Kibera slums in Nairobi. And it was part of an existing medical outreach in this community. And so I thought, oh, a shipping container, and it's part of a deal. So I go over there to help them, and it was the most disgusting medical center I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, and because I had never really realized the impact or how nice these things were. Well, they put it in there, and I get regular updates from all that, they see, probably 20 people a day out of this shipping container that was put together in an old lumber yard right here in Louisville, Colorado, just people coming together. So that's how that worked. But then, from that project, then Monarch High School, one of the teachers from Monarch High School came by, saw it, was very excited about the project, asked if he could do it. So we helped them do a project, and the robotics club took the lead on it. They designed it. They used their skills that they were using in the classroom to design it, to learn about the areas that it was going to, where the container was going. They built it. An amazing thing in this project there was that these students came all summer long on Tuesdays and worked on that container. And it's just amazing way to keep them connected. And so they filled the container. We solicited medical and dental. It's a medical and dental suite, and it's in customs probably as we speak right now today, on its way to an urban slum in Mexico. So those are just two local projects. And we've done projects, again, a lot of high school projects. Nairobi, we've sent a lot of these things to northern Uganda. An interesting project that we have right now that we're in the process of. This amazing project, that picture there, was a library that was built by a high school in New Jersey. And their students built all the furniture, they built everything, and then went out and solicited the community to donate books, children's books. It's an English-speaking country, children's books. We had a group come to us and say, hey, if you have any extra room, we would ship a playground. And so we shipped a huge playground like you would see in a school. I mean, this is not a swing set, but a huge playground. That whole thing got sent over there, and I don't know if there's a picture of it, but I got a picture not long ago. I shared it with Trish of probably 500 kids on the playground at the same time. So really an amazing thing. But so we've done that. An interesting project we have going right now that we're just in the process of finishing up. There's an organization in Denver called Streets Hope, and they work helping getting women out of sex trafficking. And they have a safe house. Well, they got permitted to put more people in the safe house if they could move their office and therapy space. So they came to us and said, well, we have all these volunteers and we would love to do this space, but we can't have our volunteers work at the safe house or else it's not a safe house. So we worked with the city of Lakewood. We actually built the office therapy space in a church parking lot a couple miles away with all of their volunteers. And then when it was completed, we got some donated expertise to then haul it over to their site, and it's being installed right now. So just different ways of using it. What's unique is not building something out of a container, but using the volunteers to do it. So we again, it's about connecting communities. So we always look at what's our impact. These projects will have between 200 and 400 people involved in them. Our premise is that we don't ask for. This is not about a few people doing a lot, but a lot of people doing a little. And so we don't want a construction, and we love construction companies. I'm from them, but you don't want a construction company to go, oh, hey, we'll send 4 of our guys over and knock it out. Because what we want to do is we want to have that event to build community there. And so what we'll ask them to do is, why don't you provide a supervisor, and we'll provide a bunch of hard work and willing labor, and we'll go over there and build it. So these projects will have between 200 and 400 people involved on this end. When they go to the other end, I mean, it's just huge, the impact that's made. I mean, literally tens of thousands of people are being treated in these clinics. These things, we've been able to leverage them. We had another high school in New Jersey they built several of them, and they decided to take 2 containers and make them to come together as one when they got in Africa for a vocational training center. And so they built it, they stocked it with tools and things like that. But then we were able to go through our people in Uganda and connect with the government and actually have the government provide support for the teaching staff that would work out of this clinic. So it's just amazing what just a little bit of effort from a whole lot of people on this end, the difference that it can make on the other end. So that's an interesting thing. The high school students came up with a way of building a heat exchanger to create hot water for the clinic that sits basically 8 miles south of the South Sudanese border. So just an amazing thing. So I said, then how, so what would be my ask of you of how you could help? Well, one, I brought some cards with me, and they have our website, and they have we have Facebook like everybody, and I'd like you just to learn more about us, just to get on there and see. We've got some cool videos and a much better explanation of what it is that we do, lots of pictures, and get on there and take a look and see. And the reason I say that, because I'm all about making connections, and someday you may see one of our projects and you may say, hey, I know of a medical clinic that's getting new equipment that is willing to donate their old equipment, and I'd want you to call me. So if you know more about what we do, then I have more connections, and that's the big thing. And then we also like every group, we do fundraising. Now our projects are very much self-supporting. That's the way we set them up. We ask the group that's sponsoring it to go out and to get the donated materials, construction materials, the donated supplies that go in it, and the donated dollars for shipping, which at the end of this thing, anybody that was ever interested, I could show you, but at the end of it, the only dollars that we ever really collect are for shipping. That's what the dollars are used for. Everything else is gift in kind and people's effort. But as part of that, as part of the organization, we use Colorado Gives Day as our big financial tool each year, and it provides about half of the dollars that we use in a year. But what do we use our dollars for? Well, we use them to get a lot of projects started. It's always hard. It's hard to build momentum from a dead stop. And so a lot of times we'll connect and we'll be able to get a container donated, but we need to get it trucked over to the site, and that'll be $400. And so that's where we'll spend our money. It's trying to get that thing over there, get it on the site so that they have a place to rally around and start doing it. Or we'll use it for the last little bit on the shipping. And so that happened at Monarch. Now these containers, when they're all in, we estimate their value at around $60,000. Yet there's nothing that's really donated. And when I say that, when you have a container donated, you have it interior finished into a medical dental clinic, you have donated, and a lot of donated medical equipment, medical supplies, educational things, all that's donated in it. And then the shipping, all that is has $60,000 worth of value. And but so with Monarch, they went and they did that. They raised all that. They got to the end, they were a couple $1,000s short on being able to get it shipped, and that's where we came in and said, okay, from funds that we have donated, undesignated funds throughout the year, we'll help a group get that last little bit. And that'll happen. A lot of times with a public school or something, that happens because they get to the end of their school year and they're really, they want to get it. They want the students that built it to get the pleasure of seeing it go out the door, and they just can't seem to get that last little bit. So that's where we try to help. And so that's kind of what Homes of Living Hope does. Like I said, my biggest ask is that you just learn more about us and try to stay connected with us through Facebook or something like that. And when I put an ask up there and I say, hey, does anybody know somebody that can weld steel or something like that, and you text back and say, yeah, I got a brother-in-law that's living with me and not doing anything, whatever it happens to be. But that's the biggest thing that you can do. And if you feel so inclined to donate, you can do that through our homepage too. So I've got some cards here, my business cards, if anybody would like one. I love to talk about this and the difference that these people make. So if you ever have any questions or anything, give me a call. I'd answer any questions if you have any right now. Sure.
So the containers are donated.
Yep.
Are they just holding out of service, or do they have to be changed out every so often?
No, it's really interesting. So, here in the United States, it's almost a problem having used containers. I read somewhere the world has enough used containers to stretch end to end around the world at the equator. That's how many, because here we have so much stuff shipped in and we have no backhaul. So we have no backhaul to China or Mexico or wherever these things are coming from. So there's right here in Denver, there's a group, everybody always thinks these are around a ship, but there's several companies here in Denver that we work with, and we'll call them and depend. So in answer to your question, it's just too expensive to ship them back. So a lot of the times these things have been used one time. And there's a new trend in the industry, in the container industry, called one-use containers, in that they build them to only last for one shipment. But there's just all these containers that sit around, and then there's groups that we work with that certify the container for intermodal shipping. So I'll go down to Colorado Container, they'll give us one, or they'll make us a great deal on one, and we'll get it certified and shipped out to the site, and we're ready to go.
And you use them for both residential and clinics and schools, or is it?
The group that's building it is the one that decides what it is that we'll build. And so let's say a high school came to me and they said, we're interested in building, we've heard about this, we're interested in building one. So I'll say, okay, so let me give you an example. There's a school in Rock Springs, Wyoming right now that wants to build one of these. And they have, the way their teaching platform is they have academies. They have a health academy, an energy academy, which is more or less the architectural and design type things. And what these are is like high school prep towards college careers is what they are. Well, so they came and they said, we'd like our academies to build one of these. So I'm like, okay, where would what would you like to build? Well, we have a health academy. We think we'd like to build a clinic. Then where would you like to build it? I mean, do you have a connection? Because Rock Springs isn't the case, but some areas they may say, well, we have a large Ugandan population here, and so we'd really like to connect that way. So we'll try to source or try to find a destination there. But with this, they came and they said, no. Well, I had another group that had come to us not long ago that's part of an international program building playgrounds and clinics next to each other. If we could build a clinic, they happen to be in Liberia. So Rock Springs High School now is building a clinic and learning about Liberia. Very interesting. I mean, and I can go on and on, so stop me anytime. But there was a 13-year-old boy that figured out over in Liberia how to get land donated, how to get a playground donated, and how to build next to this clinic. And it's changed this country because it's drawing all these people to it. Well, we were able so we've connected with them to do this next project, but we were able to connect the high school via Skype with the 13-year-old boy to talk about Liberia and how he did it. So, this thing's, it's way more than, to us, it's just way more than a construction project. Yeah. Any other questions? Or? Huh?
How'd you think of it, or what possessed you to do it?
That has to be the most asked question. And so about 10 years ago, I grew up in the area here. I have a friend, a lifetime friend that's a pastor out in Aurora. And he had gone to Liberia, and he'd come back, and we were having lunch, and he was telling me about this orphanage and, or all these orphans. And he said, man, we've got to figure out how to build an orphanage. Well, I was a contractor, and I said, sure, we can figure out how to build an orphanage. And he said, well, the problem is that you can't send work teams over there because it's just too dangerous with the warlords and all. And so in my company, we would take containers and we would make fab shops out of them, or we would make offices for our construction site and things like that. And I thought, well, would there be a way that we could build everything in a container that it would basically just pop up when it got to the other side? So that's where the idea started. And at the time, we were just trying to, so he said, well, that project never happened. But he said, you know what, this is a great idea. What if we became a 501(c), and if anything ever happens with it, we could do something with it? Well, a couple years later, there was a group that I knew up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they were supporting an orphanage over in Uganda, and they said, we'd like to build a clinic. And so that's where we built the first one. And in the process of doing that, we saw what a great way it was to bring people together on this end. And that really became the emphasis of what we do. When I go over to Africa with this, especially Uganda, we've done a lot in Uganda, and they'll always introduce me, oh, he has such a heart for Uganda. And I wish that was true. I mean, but the reality is I have a great heart for everybody here and my neighbors, and I love to see people come together. I don't know if any of you saw the project down there on 42, but on Saturdays, it was amazing. People with their kids painting and working, and it was just a really amazing thing. And this Louisville is a great community that way. But there are some communities that aren't that way, and if we can do anything to help bring people together, that's what we're all about. So, great. Anything else? I got cards, so yeah.
Question, do you have anything coming up with any of the schools? I think when I first talked to you about this,
Right.
there's some tremendous opportunities through Rotary with matching grants,
Sure.
things like that, to help with shipping or something.
Right. Well, so right now, I don't have a specific project for here, but I've got 3 groups that want to build a project here in this area. And that's why part of my ask is that you just really learn more about us and kind of stay connected, because what'll end up happening is that there's one group I know of that they've been supporting a school in South Sudan, and I don't know how familiar you are with South Sudan, but it's a bad place right now. And so they want to build. I have a lot of connections in Uganda, so what they want to do is build an educational pod and put it right on the border of Uganda and South Sudan. So that's a group that's right here in this area that would love to do it. I think Monarch, they've just gone through the whole process of building one, and sometimes you need a breather. But I do think at some point in time they would be interested too. So I don't have anything specific now, but that's the way this goes. You can have something tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys so much too, because I feel like we're both trying to do the same thing as far as open people's heart to serve. So thank you so much.